What's going on, guys? This is Antoine Robinson. I'm back with another video. I want to show you guys how I can take this old nasty pot from earlier this spring. I had this pot that's or this grow bag that was filled with radishes and sugar snap peas, and a lot of the radishes and everything they've gotten older, and we've gotten weeds and all types of things that have sprouted up. We have some old radish pods and just some miscellaneous things that are still in here that we need to get out of here so we can put some more plants into this bag. And so I want to show you what I do and how I do it, and so that way if you guys like this process of cleaning out your bags, you can do it also. And so I'll explain what I'm doing, but right now give me a minute while I clean this bag out, and then I'll be right back. All right, so once you've got the bag pretty much cleaned out, I went ahead and took out a lot of the old debris that's in there. You're always gonna have, I had the radishes that were in here and they just went to seed, and a lot of the pods have dropped and they're in the soil. I try to get the bulk of the material out, but I really don't go crazy with cleaning out the bags. You can always definitely, just dump out these bags and, rejuvenate the soil by, putting all new compost and material in here. But I keep my soil actually pretty good. If you look at the soil, it's very loose. It's still nice and black. It's not spent. And so I don't necessarily every year just replace all the soil that's in the bags. I really just try to reuse what's in here. If you look at my soil, there's a lot of leaves and material in here, wood chips that I put in when I originally filled these bags up. And so I don't ever fill up, because these are 25-gallon bags, and when I plant these new, I don't ever fill them up all the way. You really only need 6 to 10 inches of soil in these bags. And these bags, if you have them all the way unfurled, I keep them, the top part of them rolled down, and as I fill them up every year, I just roll them up more and more and more if I need to. There's a lot of settling, and some of the dirt kind of gets pulled out when I pull out the old plants, and so you're always going to have to add more dirt in there. but I have enough rotting material in my bags a lot of times that I don't need to dump out the whole bag. Now, the bags that have potatoes in and things like that, I will dump those out for obvious reasons, because I gotta get all the potatoes out. But these that I just normally keep crops in, I just like to don't dump them out. I'll just add more soil. One of the things you can do if you really don't want plants to pop out and regrow, you can put some brown paper on top. I was going to do that, and so I had the brown paper, but I don't think I need it because I was able to get most of the material out. I do have some of this that's still popping up, but a lot of this will break down, and I should have enough going on in this particular bag that I really don't need to put any brown paper. What I do want to do is put some more soil in there. I normally use mushroom compost, but because I ran out of mushroom compost, I'm going to use what I have here on hand and just use, I know Miracle-Gro gets a bad rap a lot of times, and there can be a lot of stuff in your Miracle-Gro that you want to be careful with, but I'm not using this for the bulk of my plant. This is really just going to be for the top portion of my plants, and what I'll do is when I come back and refertilize here in the next month or so, what I'll do is I'll get some more mushroom compost, and I'll put some more fertilizer in here to kind of top up the bag as I put the fertilizer in, because I like to cover up the fertilizer when I add it. And so what I want to do is add some soil, and it's just taking a little bit of soil. I'll add 2 inches of soil, and then we'll figure out what plants we're going to do. And so let me fill up this bag, and then I'll be back so we can look at what plants I'm going to fill up, or what plants I'm going to add in. Okay guys, I'm back. I went ahead and topped this bag off with soil, and so I added about 2 inches of soil. And what I'm going to do next is I want to plant some plants in here, and so I've got different things. I do a lot of grow bag growing, and one of the things I like about grow bags and containers is that they are just like little individual, just areas where you can grow in. I can control what's in here when you have raised beds, which I really love raised beds, but when you have raised beds and when you have in-ground beds, I mean, the soil is what it is. With grow bags and containers, I know exactly what's in my soil, and so if something's deficient or if there's something not there that should be there, it's easier for me to adjust. Whereas if you're planting in your in-ground beds and things like that, the soil is what it is, and so especially raised beds, unless you have a bottom to the raised bed, it's going to eventually access the soil below, and then you're just operating on what it is. Here I know I have a lot of rotted material in here. I have compost, I have just good soil that's in here. I did just top this off with a little bit of this Miracle-Gro garden soil for flowers, but this really isn't some bad stuff, and so Miracle-Gro has a lot of good stuff. It does have some fertilizer in there and whatnot that you have to be careful of. Sometimes the fertilizer can be a bit strong for a lot of plants, and and if you have your plants hooked on fertilizer, guess what? You have to keep fertilizing. But I believe in lazy growing, and if you have time to do this the right way, or I'm not even gonna say the right way, if you have time to just really be intentional with planting and staying on top of things, then you can go out and get some sand and some soil and compost and really do this up. But me, I practice a lazy way of gardening, and I'll have a video next week on that, just talking about lazy gardening. One of the reasons that most people don't garden is because they have to just put too much into it, and I just don't believe in doing that. I want to be able to set it and forget it, and so if I'm in a bind and I don't have time to really mess and amend with the soil, then I'm going to go and get some Miracle-Gro, and I'm just going to be able to top off this bed and put some plants in here that are going to work for me, that I know that I'm going to be able to take care of. And so let me grab some plants. I'm going to show you what we're going to be planting, and then we'll get this thing potted up. All right guys, I have a variety of different plants I'm going to try to put in here. I've got a Kellogg's breakfast tomato that I want to put in the middle. I'm going to put at least 1, maybe 2 okra plants in here. I have some zinnias that I'm going to plant in here as well, and I'm going to put 1 pepper plant I've got a jalapeno pepper plant that I want to put in here, and so I'm going to put that in here as well. And just kind of, I like to incorporate a lot of flowers, and so in addition to the zinnias, I'm going to put a couple marigolds in here. We have time to put seeds in, and so I'm going to put some marigolds in here, and I'm going to put some dwarf sunflowers seeds in here as well. None of these plants, this tomato does take up a little bit of room, which is why I'm going to use I'm going back and forth on whether I want to use. There was a green cage in here. Not sure if I'm going to use that cage or not. I may just plant this. These do get about 6 feet tall, but I may want to use a stake instead of using the cage, and so we'll play with that here in a minute. But really what I do is I'll take out, I've got to kind of have a mindset, and we'll just feel things out as we plant. But I'm going to take this plant and just start planting. And with this tomato, I want to put it nice and deep. Now, this soil is still pretty good. Down there's some roots, but there's also a lot of earthworms and things like that in there. And so this soil will be nice and good. And what I want to do is, because there is some fertilizer in this soil, in the planting hole, I'm going to just put a little bit more soil in there, and then I want to plant this plant deep. What I want to do is take off the lower leaves. You really want to do that earlier than I'm doing it now, because you want the hole to kind of heal over, so there's no diseases getting in here. But this plant is nice and small, and so I'm not as concerned with it. And I've got plenty more plants that I can put in here if I need to, if for some reason something happens and this plant doesn't make it. And so tomatoes, I plant those nice and deep, because everything, if you look on the side of the tomato plant, there's a lot of hairs, and all those hairs have the potential to turn into roots. As soon as they hit moisture or soil, they will root out and they'll do pretty good. So got the tomato plant. We're gonna put these zinnias in here. I love these zinnias. These are cut and come again zinnias. They're very well rooted in here, and so they should have been planted out a while ago. And so I just want to break up the roots a little bit and get these planted in here. The thing I love about zinnias is they're just beautiful flowers, and so they don't need a whole lot with regards to fertilizer and nutrients and things like that. And so these will do fine in this soil. And so you just want to plant those kind of back at the level where they were in the pot. So put those in there. Doing all this now is that we had a lot of rain yesterday, and I know we're going to have some more rain today, and so I want to get these potted out so that way as it rains, it'll take care of these plants. I've got some more jalapenos that are in here that are just so root bound in here, but I'm just going to break up the soil, break up the roots so that they go down. Plant that in there. Let's put okra in here. I try to get okra throughout the garden. Okra does not like to be transplanted, but I always plant some in the ground, but I also like to transplant some as well. You can see how long the roots get, and so the roots don't like to be messed with, but I think with the rain that we have coming up, that it will recover, and end up being a nice plant. We don't eat a ton of okra, but I do like to cook with it and saute it and things like that. And so it's always a good addition to my garden. And so you just take that, stick it in there, fill it back in. These little radish seedlings that are still in here popping out. Yeah, I'll just do one. These are the Clemson spineless, and they get pretty big if you let them go. Depending on how much I messed up that taproot, should be fine, but it's still pretty long. So once it kind of gets established and starts getting down there, it should grow. And this Clemson spineless, it'll get 4 feet tall, high, and so it's a great plant. And then you see I still have some real estate to work with. You want to be careful. I know this tomato plant is it's a Kellogg's breakfast. It'll get pretty tall, kind of branch out. And so you want to give it some space. Normally you want to give it 12 to 18 inches apart. But to cut down on weeds and things like that, I really like to pack my plants in, because it just cuts down on all the weeds that are going to be in here. And like I said, I've already got like these radish seedlings popping all over the place, and so I do like to cram everything in here. What I'm going to do is put some marigolds in here. I bought some marigold seeds last year, planted those, none of them germinated, so I went out and bought some new marigold seeds. And so went to Ace Hardware, and these are from Botanical Interest. Never grown these before, but I planted these, and it was like 100% germination. And so it's a multicolor variety, which I really love. And so I'm planting some of these around the pot as well. Marigolds are a huge pest deterrent, and so I like to put these throughout the garden. And they'll help take care of some of these things. Same thing with the zinnias. The pest will go towards those instead of messing with everything else. And I'm also going to put some chives in here. I've got chives in other places throughout the garden, but they're just such a good plant to have, and so I just like putting chives around. And so if I have spaces where I can add them in, I'm going to add them in. And so I just take about 12 seeds. I like bunching them together, and so I just put about 12 seeds in there. Lightly cover them up. You don't want these too deep. Just kind of put them a 1/4 inch into the soil, cover them up. And then lastly, I'm going to add in some sunflowers. And so I have a lot of these varieties of dwarf sunflowers, and so I like to put in some of these. And so these will get to be about 2 or 3 feet tall. And so they're a great plant to have. A lot of the pests will go to these instead of messing with, my tomatoes or peppers. I get a lot of tomato hornworms. They never touch the tomatoes. They always go after my peppers, especially the jalapeno peppers. And so when I plant jalapenos, I really like to put some of these more trap croppy types of flowers, just to kind of deter those. And so I planted, this is a sun gold sunflower. I love these sunflowers. They're kind of fuzzy and hairy. They don't get big. They're about 2 feet tall, but they're just a really cool, beautiful flower, and they're good to make cut flowers out of. And so you'll get these that'll grow all year long, and they love the heat. Then I also have these dwarf sunspot sunflowers. These are just like the normal general sunflower, but they're just a dwarf variety. And so I like these because they don't take over the garden. I've tried putting some of my bigger sunflowers in, but they really kind of take over the soil, and your soil's really spent by the time they get done doing their thing. And so I really try to be careful about putting those bigger sunflowers in these bags, but it makes it easier for them to have these just dwarf varieties that are there. And so this thing is going to be a full bag, and if you've seen a lot of my other bags, and I haven't really done a garden tour, but I'll try to do a garden tour here in a little bit and show you what a lot of my bags look like. I've shown some here and there, but I like to put a lot of stuff in these bags. Most of these are 25-gallon bags, and so you could get away with putting one plant in here, but then you just have a whole lot of bare soil. I could put one tomato in here and it's going to thrive and do well, but then I have a lot of bare soil that I either need to mulch or cover, and so why do all that when you can just put more plants in there that still have enough space. Everything has about 6 inches of space, minus the sunflowers. And sunflowers, their taproot is going to go nice and deep to the bottom, whereas a lot of these, the peppers, tomatoes, they're not going to root in as much as some of the bigger flowers will. And so there's plenty of room in this bag for them to do their thing and to thrive and to be happy. Well guys, that's how I plant out these grow bags. If you've never tried container growing, I highly recommend it. I do like having my raised beds and my in-ground beds, but I absolutely love having these grow bags and containers just because there's so many different things I can do with these. And so if you've not tried growing these in containers or growing plants in containers, how do you give it a try? You don't have to pack them in like I do. This is just how I do it. But hey, get you a 10-gallon grow bag, put a tomato in there, and see what happens. I guarantee you'll absolutely love it. All right, guys, that's it for now. I hope you guys learned something out of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a like. If you have any questions, hey, leave me a comment. I would love to, connect with you and see what you're planting, what you're growing this year. But if you have any questions, I'm always happy to ask questions as I can. And so this is a passion of mine. I enjoy doing it. And so I like sharing my knowledge as well. And so let me know if you have any questions. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one.